Hi, it's Joe at Reds here. This is our bug of the month for September. This is a pattern that is exclusive to Reds. This river behind me here, the Yakima, has an absolutely outstanding October caddis hatch that starts at the evenings of September and then carries into the first week or two of October. And this particular fly here is our #1 October caddis pattern that we sell. And I'll tell you a little bit about the fly and how we have it set up. So if it's in focus there, which I hope it is, it has a very rigid thorax hackle here to help it perch up high on the surface. 2 elk hair wings in the back with extremely high quality elk hair, and an orange belly that does not have hackle on it so that the orange belly shows up nice and visible to the trout. I like to run a loop knot on that to give it a little bit of extra action. I think that for any larger bug, having that loop on there is good. I believe that it hooks a few more fish as well when those fish come up and tackle it. Now let's talk a little bit about how to fish this particular fly. So something that you want to know about October caddis is they don't emerge like most other caddis. They actually migrate to the shore. They squirm their bodies out in the evening. They shed their pupal skin, and then they fly around like big, awkward orange moths in the evening times. And after their mating process happens, the females will come back to the water to oviposit, which just means laying eggs. And it's at that time that the trout really key in on these, as this bug is dropping itself to the water, skittering along, and oftentimes those females will get caught in the surface tension of the water, and they'll skitter and skitter and skitter, having a hard time taking off, and that's when trout just clobber these things. They're aggressive strikes. We absolutely love fishing this hatch, and especially this fly right here. It's tied on a nice light wire hook. It floats great. Now, a couple things about how to set it up. I personally like a longer leader. A 9-foot 4X is very appropriate for this type of fishing. The fall is low, clear water, so tippet size does matter. 4X to me is just the right combination of strength and the ability to turn it over. Just a standard power flex leader is good. The fly does have a little wind resistance, so it takes a little bit of oomph to get that baby to turn over. But you don't want too stout of a leader, because a lot of these pools you're going to be fishing it in are nice, big, wide open water. Best fished after the sun gets behind the canyon walls and we get a little bit of shade. You'll notice that the intensity of that hatch picks up dramatically in the afternoons and evenings in the shade. Now, buoyancy with this fly is really critical. We want that thing perched right on the hydrogen bonds of that surface. We want it right on top of the surface tension. We don't want it soggy. We don't want it low riding, because we want to be able to twitch it and skitter it and make ripples and little bubble action to help sell that fly. I like to use a fly dip on this. I don't on a lot of my flies, and the fly dip is pretty simple. I'm not going to do it here, but at the beginning of my fishing session, I would take and open the lid and then just dip my fly in there, let it drip off, let it dry, false cast it a few times, and then go fishing. That works absolutely great. So I'll start with that. Helps it perch up on the surface tension, makes my mends and my skittering action easy. Another tip is, a lot of my dry flies, I will use a little piece of fluorocarbon when in direct sunlight, like with hoppers and things. But with this October caddis, I want that tippet right on top of the surface so that when I pull tension to it and twitch it, that leader did not sink. So standard nylon tippet. This happens to be a Scientific Anglers. I just brought it as an example, would be the tippet material that I would use. And then you can do an old grease line trick. You can actually take some Lunoquel. It's thicker. You wouldn't want to use this. It's too runny. And I can grease all but the first like 6 inches of my leader all the way up into my fly line, and that helps my fly line stay right on top, so that when I do decide to twitch it and skitter it, that fly doesn't take a nosedive and drop down in the water and go underwater and sink on me. So I believe that to be another valuable tip. Now, when it comes to presenting this fly, there's lots of different ways to do it, but a good couple of false casts to me are a really good idea to build a little line speed and make sure that the moment that fly lands on the water, your tippet is at full extension, that we're not having these casts where the leader piles up and gets messy. With an October caddis, a lot of those fish are going to want to eat that the moment it lands. Even a little bit of shadow casting might work. Maybe it doesn't. You can give it a try. But a few false casts are really good to get this fly to lay very delicately on the water. and have complete and total turnover. We want that fly to make good use of that really stiff hackle on the front end and just barely set on the water, okay? Very critical. Now, once that fly sets down on the water, we can immediately pull the leader tight so that I don't have little jumbles like this that will get caught in whirlpools and then create to sink. What I want to do is I want to land the fly and I want to pull my leader tight, and then immediately I'll give it a little twitch, which is going to make some ripples and rings that come off the fly. That confirms what the trout was hoping, that that's a bug on the surface right there, and it can go tackle it and eat it. After that, I like to rattle my rod and just rattle it like that, very, very gingerly, not real dramatic, just enough to make that thing scoot and throw some rings off. The rings are really what sells the strike. And I'll twitch it and rest it and twitch it and rest it and twitch it and rest it. Finally, at the end of my drifts, I love to let that thing skate out and make a nice V-wake on it. This is one of the few hatches where those fish will take it on an absolute dragging fly. So that's our bug of the month. There's a link to purchase in the video description, and we're going to put them on sale all month long. So jump online, order some of these flies. You probably have an October caddis hatch near you, so take advantage of it with a great dry fly.